Hey everyone, welcome to episode 205, Percentage Parenting.
Meet our mom, Kelly Hutchison. She is a life coach. She is a child counselor. She is a teacher. She's a parent coach. And she's a mom to us. She will teach you to stop yelling at your kids. She will teach you to get your kids to listen. She will teach you how to never sleep with mommy guilt again. She will teach you how to be an imperfect mom, so you can help your kids be imperfect too. And have harmony in the home.
Don't you just love the names? And next week we're going to be talking called Pretend Parenting. So I got the P's all going. And today's episode came from, like when you listen to something and it just strikes you and hits you like, whoa, like right there in the feels. And that's what happened to me. And I decided to create an entire podcast around something I heard in about a 7-second clip. I think it was Gary Vee. It was in his stories. And Gary Vee, if you don't know, he's like an entrepreneur, go-getter. I love a lot of his work. And then some of his work, I'm just like, it's just a little bit too much of the, hustle, don't sleep when you're dead kind of attitude. And I think working hard is important, but I think finding that balance is important too. So he helps me when I'm feeling super lazy to kind of get out of my funk. But it just goes to show that you can love a message of someone, but just because you love one message doesn't mean you love all the messages. Just like if you like a book, doesn't mean you like all the books. So I can't find the story because it was just a passing story. I Googled it. I looked on YouTube. I looked on this page. I think it was so short that it was one of those things that disappears after 24 hours. So I have to paraphrase what I heard that hit me in the feels. And he was talking about the percentage of your life based on your age. He said, pretty much we're all going to live until we're 100. Let's just say, for numbers' sake. That's what David's really a mathematician. He's like a numbers guy and like really into the nitty gritty of it and understand it all. So he's always dumbing things down for me because math is not my strong suit. He'll always say, just for numbers' sake, just to keep numbers simple. I'm like, thank you, Jesus. Because once he starts talking about insurance and rates and stocks and bonds and options and percentage and APRs, I'm like, wah, 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 wah. So just for numbers' sake, in this story, he said, just for numbers' sake, let's all just assume we're all going to live till we're 100. If that's the case, when we're looking at our kids or we're looking at our life, and we look at life as Earth School, he didn't say the Earth School part, that's parts from Tony Robbins. When you look at your life on a 100% scale and growth and involvement, or you look at your kids, you can use their age or our age as kind of a measuring tool of where we are in this curriculum of life. And for some reason, that helped me so much. Because when you think about your kids, like you think about an 8-year-old, they have lived 8% of their life. Or like mine are almost 13 and currently 15. So 13% of their life has been lived. 15% of their education in this life school is there. And you can see that when you look at toddlers, whether you have toddlers or you look back on videos of your kids when they were little, or if you see toddler videos, you're just like, wow, they're so little and so clueless on life. And they should be. That's the beauty of them. That's what makes them so innocent. And for some reason, that just helped me thinking, I'm 48. My friend Tracy just said in one of her stories that she has the same birthday month as me, that we graduated the same year in high school. She said that literally, this also struck me in my feels. She said, we're less than 18. She was talking about herself. And she said, I'm less than 18 months away from 50. And I was like, wait a minute. We're pretty much the same age within like a week. Wait, what? Like that was cray-cray for me to hear. So think about your age that you are. And that's the percentage of Earth School that you have completed in this curriculum, so to speak. Then look at your kids, and it allows you to give them so much grace and compassion because they are trying to create healthy habits. They're trying to figure out this life thing along the same time that we are too. So we're figuring out along with them. And a lot of times because they're so little and they talk in their little voices and they're smaller in stature, sometimes we think that we're older and wiser. In some parts we are, and some parts we aren't. The reason why I like to remember this for myself and for my kids and for your kids is because it allows us to give them so much grace and compassion. It allows us to give ourselves grace and compassion and forgiveness that we're just figuring out this life thing. So I Googled, how long does it take to create a healthy habit? I read anywhere from 21 days, then I heard 59 to 70 days, which I thought was pretty finite. Then I heard the official word is 66 days. So think about 66 days to form a new habit. Like if you wanted to meditate, it's going to take 66 days of consecutively doing it before it becomes like brushing your teeth. I've also heard it takes 10,000 hours to master a skill. So if you're working on please and thank you, or you're working on brushing their teeth, or you're working on the habit of reading before bed, or if you're working on the habit of holding the space, that means you have to have 10,000 hours of tantrums, God help us all, before you master that. And even when you are at mastery, because there's lots of things I am quote unquote a master at by the definition, but I fail all the time. Failing means I don't show up in the way I want to. He also talks about how we have a 400 trillion to 1 chance of being born. The miracle that we all are, the miracle that our kids are. He said we have a greater chance of winning the lottery 10 times versus the miracle of us being born. So when you think about it that way, when you think about it for yourself, and then when you give that gift to your kids, then it makes you realize like, oh, I'm supposed to do rinse, repeat with my kids. Not so much repeat yourself 10,000 times, but the amount of practice that becomes, the amount of practice that is needed to master the skill of holding the space. 10,000 hours. And even then, you're not going to have full mastery because like we talked about last week, on-the-job training is where you learn it all. Because a lot of times people will say, I was doing so well. And then all of a sudden I had one slip up, so now I have to start all over. I feel like such a loser. I feel like such a failure. It was almost easier when I didn't know all of this, because when I didn't know all this, then I could just live in denial and just blame the kids. But now I know better, so I'm trying to do better, and I'm failing a lot more than I was before, and now I'm feeling double guilty. And that's when I'm like, hey, we're only 48% through this life school. If you're in your 20s and 30s, 20 to 30% through the curriculum of life. And if you know people that are older, you'll realize that it's always a journey and not a destination, because you can see from their eyes that they're still learning and flubbing and showing up and then not showing up and trying their best and showing up doing B- work. So think about your life as a percentage, not thinking about your death, but thinking about, wow, no wonder this is so hard for me. I'm only partway through the curriculum. I'm not even a quarter way through. Even when I turn 50, I'm only going to be halfway through. And so creating these healthy habits for your kids is hard, and creating it for ourselves is hard. Because if we need 66 days, kids don't tantrum every day, especially when they get older. Their tantrums become more quiet. The tantrums become quieter. When I was unconscious, I felt like I was having 10,000 tantrums a day, plus the kids were. But once you wake up, you're like, oh, this is part of the human experience. They don't know how to manage an emotion yet. That's a eureka moment. Of course they don't know how to. And I don't know how to manage it either, because I'm still learning. So hopefully from this podcast and us working together, you realize that you don't have to do it perfectly. This is the journey, not a destination. And when you give that gift to yourself, you can give it to your kids too, to have more harmony in the home. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye. Hey mamas, thanks for listening. If you had any ahas, clicks, or those lightning bolt moments while listening, you have to check out my free parenting bootcamp, where we take all of this to the next level and we try to create even more awakenings for ourselves so that we can connect more with our kids and never yell at them again. You can sign up at www.coachingkelly.com. And if you really want to fill up my love cup, send me an email of what your aha was, what your click was, what was that lightning bolt moment while you were listening. I want nothing more in life than for you to have harmony in your home and to learn how to be an imperfect mom like me, which allows your kids to be imperfect too. each and every day. Thanks for listening.